Okay, so today I decided to unbox the Black Tarot by Victoria Iva. Um, I don't really record my unboxings, but I decided to for this one just because I don't see it very often, if at all. So I figured I would share it because it's a great. It looks like it's a great deck for if you like darker decks or a more masculine energy, which is not really uh, what you normally see in tarot nowadays. It's very feminine, just, lovely. But some of us like working with the divine masculine also. And it looks like this deck does that really well. So here we go. Ooh, they're edged in black. Maybe I knew that already from watching. I think I saw like one or two flip throughs of it. Comes with a guidebook. Lovely matte finish. I really like that. I love the edging. I don't have any decks that are edged in black. I have one that's edged in what is that called? Like iridescent black, I guess. But this one's beautiful matte actually. The backs look kind of marbled. So I guess technically not reversible, if that's a thing for you. It's not really for me because I draw my cards either blindly or by jumpers, so I don't pay too much attention to that. Take a look at this guidebook. Nothing earth-shattering here. I do like when they include like sort of a synopsis of what's happening in the artwork. And it looks like that's done. Is it done for the minors too? Yeah, so they do it for the minors too. Clearly the minors have a lot less information, but I mean, how much do you really need? If you're buying a deck for the artwork, I imagine you already feel like you're going to be able to read pretty well with that artwork and you don't need everything written out for you. But it is it does look like it's a nice little go-to. Yeah. So more than enough for me. Let's look at the cards here. I love that he's sort of still like tethered to the ground. That's really interesting. I love the figures. They're so different. The Empress. This, to me, almost looks like an embryo. Yeah, oh yes, see it? At first I thought it was someone's face. But this is the womb. And you have the legs and what would be the head here. Very masculine pose for the Emperor. Hierophant. Really like this deck because it's a little abstract. And it goes with some of the other decks that I recently got. And I always look for decks that, kind of complement each other. Because when I'm in a certain mood, I don't want just one deck to go to. I love this Lover's card. They sort of like blend into each other. The Strength card is almost like a phoenix. Oh, I love this wheel. I've done artwork like that, actually. I like this repeating theme of this sort of tiling or chessboard pattern. That's a really interesting part of this world that the artist is depicting. Ooh, I like that devil card. That might be a contender for my top devil card. I like how it almost looks like there's an eye sort of watching everything, kind of invoking that sense of, you know, usually you do see what's coming, especially your tower event. Wow, the star, moon, and sun card look gorgeous together. I love how astronomical they look. Ooh, I love when the world is an egg. It actually goes with another deck that I also had in mind when I got this one. And I think they use an egg in the world card for that one as well. Oops. These cards smell so good too. I don't know if I know other people like the smell of new cards. I love that. And they all do smell different. So you have your King and your Queen of Wands. The Knight of Wands kind of looks like this. Oh, the page came first actually, but whatever. You can make out like a rider on this sort of skeletal horse here. Also, it kind of looks like the horse almost has wings. So is it the rider or is it wings? Or is that the same thing? Ten of Wands. It's so tiny, which I love because it makes you think like how small someone feels under so much pressure. But let me see if I can get that closer. Yes, carrying like all these, are those boulders, I think, on his back in like this great landscape. Ooh. That's a great Eight of Wands. Probably one of the better Eight of Wands I've seen in a long time. I love that sort of, that sinking aspect here. And everything's sort of like caving in around you. And you find the strength to stand your ground, so to speak, and still hold yourself up here. That's great. That's a great depiction. Excuse all that noise. I have cats. Oh, I love how these bodies are also much like the Lovers, like molding into each other. I also love, I don't know if, well, I'm sure you guys can see it. There's like, well, this I imagine is part of the wands, but the cards are almost distressed. Like you can kind of see, it's not really the cards, it's part of the artwork, but it makes it look distressed, like almost like scratches, which they're not scratches. But I like that. Kind of adds a lot of layer to it. Oh, I like this one a lot too. I mean, I like all of them. But I love the sand. And yes, I guess we're going backwards. But that's okay. It does take you well, it takes me a second to see. Because when you look at something for the first time, if you don't see one thing right away and you see something else, it takes a second for your eye to retrain to see the other thing. So at first I saw a tree, which is probably what is there, but there's also the face here. But I was so focused on the branches. Oh, they look beautiful together. Yeah, it looks like the page comes before the knight in all the suits, which I imagine could just be a printing thing, but I love the consistency where the knights so far are all riding something. Like I like that in a knight. Wow, that's gorgeous. It's almost like a fountain. I love the hands here. It's almost Pippish, but it just becomes more symbolic because you have the hands with the giving and even like down to like the the fingerprints and the lines that you have on your hand here about your identity and genetics and um, the passing on of information. I like that one a lot too. Ooh, he's creepy. Sorry about that. I love this three. It's like this guy's doing his own thing, and this other little guy down here is still trying to tell him something. Like, you're not in a space to hear what he's saying. Do you even really want to? Because you kind of got things under control. I always thought it was a funny interpretation of the Three of Pentacles when it's sort of like unwanted instruction. I'm kind of a little defiant towards authority, so that always made me laugh. The core cards, their figures sort of embody the element. that they correspond to, which I think is really interesting. Love the tentacles here on the bottom. I like that a lot, actually. Probably a contender for my favorite Queen of Cups. This page is almost like a seahorse. Yes, thank you for still writing something. Oh, I think it almost looks like a mer person. The way the leg kind of morphs into what could be a part of the skeletal system of the horse. I didn't notice on the Knight of Spheres in this deck whether it sort of had that molding action with the animal it was riding as well. But based on what I've seen so far, I imagine it's been pretty consistent. So that's a really cool touch. This is interesting. So it's almost the same. But that progression from the Nine of Cups to the Ten of Cups. A lot like the Nine of Pentacles to the Ten of Pentacles in my interpretation, where it's a fulfillment, but there's an aspect missing. Obviously because it's still the 9 and you haven't completed the suit yet. But from jumping from the 9 to the 10, usually what fills that void, which I think of when I'm looking right here, is others. A sense of connection to other humans, right? Whether it be family, friends, loved ones in general, sort of fill that void of what's missing when you're just satisfied with self, but you become satisfied enough to also be happy with other people. And I like that this 9 to the 10, you can see it still has that droplet of water here too. Kind of just shows the natural progression. Otherwise, I would complain and say that it was very samey, but I get it, so. I like this Eight of Cups. It's much like the Eight of Wands, except there seems to be, I don't know, almost more of a purpose. It looks like they might be holding something. There's a direction here. I mean, there was a direction in the Wands as well, but it was sort of like through from this angle, sort of through the card, like coming towards you, whereas this looks more like it's running from one thing to another. And it kind of begs the question, what are you leaving behind and what are you going towards? Because a lot of Eight of Cups, you can see the foreground and the background. Also interesting, there's actually, he's going into darkness, so there's an aspect of, well, the unknown, but also, and I find this interesting, in very few Eight of Cups, I've seen it interpreted as leaving behind not only the known for the unknown, but like, I don't want to say the good, but the comfort, something positive for X, and X isn't always, the grass isn't always greener, you know what I mean? Actually, in one Eight of Cups card, I've like straight up seen it be leaving behind something good for something, or kind of just flushing all that down the toilet. Oh, I like her. She almost looks like a genie coming out of that cup. I remember seeing this card in the handful of flip throughs that I could find, and I loved this feeling of, if anyone, I'm sure most of you have done this before, but when you're trying to climb sand and you just keep sinking back down, there's such like a stretch here. Like, it really makes me feel how hard this person is trying to reach these cups, as opposed to that figure that just stands there staring at them. They're such simple depictions, but they're very dynamic. Oops. I like this duality we have here. Less about dating and more about the joining of two forces. I like that focus. Oh, I love this. This is essentially the top cup from the Ten of Cups. Sorry, camera's gonna shake. You see that? So you have the Nine of Cups, and then the Ten of Cups. Just the Nine of Cups plus the Ace of Cups is the Ten of Cups. That's subtly brilliant. You're your King and Queen of Swords. So now they're kind of calling to mind the air movement. I imagine when you do your like a depth study on this deck, the differences in movement between the King of the Queen will probably tell you a lot. Again, the page came first. So here's the Knight. Yes, still writing something. I love it. And up in the air. These Knights would be like fascinating to compare to. 100% have to do a deep dive with this one. Oh, wow. Wow, this 9 like just took all the words and my breath away. And again, there's like a progression from the 9 to the 10. I didn't notice it so much in the other suits, but it didn't really hit me till the cups. Although I'm sure like it was how consistent this deck is, it was probably there. But it's this allowance here that when you allow it to affect your state of mind versus when you've just succumbed and sort of given up. Like you don't even... What it reminds me of psychologically is anxiety. When you're I'm not talking about like the clinical diagnosis, okay, because there's a lot more that goes into that, but the worry and the constant thinking about something, to you just don't have the strength to care anymore, right? At this point, you're probably just too depressed to even like want to get up and go on. And sometimes all it takes is that one more thing, that one extra sword, and it like is the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm not gonna lie, this deck is like even more than I expected it to be. I love this. As a pet peeve of mine, when your Seven of Swords is too ambiguous. I like my Seven of Swords to straight up in my face tell me, like, someone's deceiving me, or I'm deceiving someone, or someone's stealing something, or someone's hiding something. Like, don't, like, I just don't like when it's ambiguous. I like my cards to be straightforward. Like, if you're gonna be a card that discusses hard topics, just go for it. Like, don't hold back. Don't be wishy-washy about it. Just commit to being negative. I love this domination here. The Five of Swords is also one that sometimes is a little too ambiguous in its depiction by certain artists. So, again, here for it. Ouch. This is a very visceral deck, too. Which is so well done because it's very abstract. And sometimes when you're dealing with abstractions, you lose the that visceral feeling that it can invoke otherwise. And the last card here. So this is the Black Tarot by Victoria Iva. I believe that's how you say the last name. There we go. And I'll show you guys the backs again because by the time I finished watching the flip through, I've forgotten what the backs look like, and it's one of the most important things to me. Again, edged in this beautiful black matte. As you would expect from the Black Tarot, right? Don't give me naked edges and these beautiful black backgrounds here. Even, I didn't even really notice the borders, but I guess technically it is a black border. It's just so many of the cards are dark, you don't really notice it. This is absolutely beautiful. Easily going to become one of my go-to decks. So I'll leave the link below. I think I got this. Actually, I think I bought this on Amazon, but I know it's also available I saw it in a few different shops on Etsy. So I'll leave. So you know what? I'll just leave both. You guys can decide. And see you next time.